Welcome to the Pixelship podcast here on Pixelship.net. I am Neil LeBeau, and I am heading off this podcast. I'm joined, as always, by Ryan Blandy
Knack is terrible.
and Ryan Hayes.
I'm glad I've never played it.
All right, today we're going to be talking a little bit about some games that we've been playing throughout the week. So, to start us off, Ryan Hayes, what have you been playing this week?
Um, Not a whole lot. I decided to fire up Dark Souls again with all this
You're a crazy person.
this Bloodborne talk. I decided I should at least attempt to finish one of those games of the three that exist. But yeah, it's definitely a game that gets easier the more time you put into it and the more you understand the rules. You know, I think everyone's fairly familiar with the game at this point, but it's a game that teaches you patience, unlike other games out there, and just kind of getting familiar with the world as different areas open up. Spent some time, kind of got both the bells rung, and kind of moving on to the next section of the game, and I enjoy it. It's definitely unlike a lot of stuff out there, and it's making me more excited for Bloodborne, which is the new game by, I forget the creator's name. But it's a little bit more modern. It's, you have guns. It's almost like a Van Helsing-like world, kind of that turn-of-the-century evil, demonic world. So, yeah, just trying to get squared away for that. Fired up a little bit of Hotel Dusk for the DS. Something I picked up a little while ago at a thrift store pretty cheap after I had traded it in when it first came out. It's like a visual novel puzzle game. It's a nice kind of relaxing, I was sitting on the couch catching up on some TV shows and playing that. And then I had a friend who was gracious enough to give me an alpha code for the new Destiny game.
Who's this friend? Who is this man?
Ryan Blandy.
It was me. That's right.
Yeah, sent me over a alpha code, so got to spend a little bit of time with it this weekend.
You didn't think you were going to.
I didn't, and I have to say,
You had
it was the perfect amount of time. Because they start you out at level 4, and then you kind of hit the level 8 cap.
Yeah, that ticked me off.
But it was fine because I didn't have a ton of time, and then, I had other shit to do when I hit that cap. I'm like, oh, this is great. I played a little bit more, kind of finished up some of the other missions that I didn't get a chance to do. And it was just kind of a really good taste. Unfortunately, my PS Plus had expired and my new confirmation code hadn't arrived yet, so they actually blocked me out of a good chunk of that alpha, which I was kind of upset about.
You need PlayStation Plus now, man.
Yeah.
What do you mean when you say they blocked you out of?
So there were, I guess, technically four sections. There was kind of the hub world, where you kind of go, you can get some missions, collect some bounties, and buy kind of equipment, kind of your normal video game, Borderlands-ish hub world, where you kind of do the dirty. And then there is kind of the story beat, which is kind of the, this is why you're playing the game. We're going to take you through
With
the narrative.
Peter Dinklage.
Is that Peter Dinklage?
Yeah,
the
Peter
voice
Dinklage
of the little...
is the freaking ghost.
Yeah, so you get this little AI, and it kind of acts as, waypoint finder and mission information. Apparently it's Peter Dinklage. This little AI buddy, kind of like Cortana. So the other areas are multiplayer level, kind of a free roam mode where you're kind of just going around doing missions in the same area that the alpha story demo took place, and then there was something called the Moon, which I was not able to access because of PlayStation.
Well, that's the Crucible. That's the PvP stuff.
Oh, okay.
Did you go in there?
Yeah, I went in there. It's a good time. It's all a good time. I was very hesitant about the game, and I played it, and the next day pre-ordered it and got my beta code.
I don't know if I'm going to pre-order it, but I will say for a game that I had little to no interest in at all, playing that alpha actually went a long way.
Oh yeah, it was a pleasant surprise, and yeah, it did impress me a lot.
I,
Pressed Joel a lot too.
I was never a big Halo guy. Like, I played the first one, played most of the second one, and then I think I have ODST. I don't know, the one with rocket packs, and kind of
I would
enjoyed.
say, well, I would say it's got more in tune with just Borderlands, but with more people.
Well, I'm just saying, like that, like the
Right,
Halo
but
franchise is something that I was never like. They were always just solid games. Like, they kind of had a unique
Hmm.
feel. I really enjoyed the universe. And playing this game reminded me of playing the first and second Halo, and just kind of be like, yeah, I can get into this world. Kind of the way it
Yeah,
played, kind of the way the universe unfolds. Seems really interesting. Yes, it's kind of a more open worldy like Borderlands. You're shooting guys, and numbers are popping off them like Borderlands. The mission structure is very similar. Uh, and like, while it's not remarkable and mind blowing, it is something that I can see myself enjoying. Like, it
oh
just
yeah.
seems like a really solid experience. If they can turn that into a 20, 30 hour game that I can enjoy by myself, or if some of my friends are online,
Mm,
I'm in.
yeah,
Again, it's not something I'm necessarily going to pre-order. But it's
I
something I'm
am.
going to keep an eye
I've done
on.
it.
It might be a launch day buy. I might try to figure out a way. Sometimes you can get, if you pre-order it, you get $10 off or something like that from certain retailers or gift cards or something like that. I might wait to
Hmm.
see if some of those opportunities pop up. But yeah, I enjoyed
Well,
it a lot
keep it in
more.
mind, man, because like you can always pre-order it and then cancel it just to get that beta code, and that beta is starting on the 17th
I
of
don't
July.
I don't have any real desire to play any more of that game before it's out. The alpha did what it needed to do, and that's like, let me play around with it, let me get a feel for the world, how
Mm.
this thing is going to play, how my time with the game is going to be.
how buggy was it for being an alpha?
Not, yeah, not.
It,
I'm surprised they could even call it an alpha.
I think it's an alpha in as much as it is a very, very, very small section of the game.
Agreed. They did
It's
say that
more of a
there were
demo than a
different
beta.
planets.
Yeah, so like the section they give you, not to say it's restricted. Like, the worlds are the areas are very large and very detailed, and there's a lot of stuff to do in it. Um,
Well, while Joel was playing, he was trying to explore, and then there were enemies with question mark.
was that the one? There's like a section underneath
There's like a
uh,
section underneath.
the
We went to a
catacombs.
bunch of places that just like, hey, these enemies you're not going to do anything to because they don't want you to go that way.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. Like, that's kind of what I
Yeah.
expect in those games. Is like, hey, when I come back to this area and I'm level 35, I should be able to go after him.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it
But I
again.
think they did that on purpose. I think that,
Oh, they
when,
absolutely did it on purpose
yeah,
to just
like
kind of
I
show
don't
you, like,
think
this
an
is.
area in the beginning is going to have, that crazy.
No, I would think it would. I think that makes sense. The way they structured it is like, hey, man, this is, it's not an invisible wall, but it's a barrier because you should not be at this section of the map yet
Uh-huh.
until you're a higher level. It's a way to kind of pace the areas and be able to get the most out of, the 5 or 6 areas that they end up making for that game. It makes sense to be like, okay, you're going to start out in, area 1, then you're going to go to area 2, then you're going to come back to area 1, but now you're a higher level, so you can get past these guys that, were acting as a barrier for you. I think that's, a pretty reasonable approach to, level design. So that didn't bother me at all.
All right. Well, I mean, without getting too scientific about the game, it's good.
It's great.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
better than I thought.
yeah, and he was thinking terrible.
Um, Well,
I didn't think it was
you, you
terrible. I
see,
was just
yeah,
uninterested. Like, it was just like, oh, it's another first-person shooter in space. Like,
right.
Hmm.
those games don't appeal to me anymore because I've played 100,000 of them. Like, they don't do anything for me. But this
Well,
one was
and
just new
with
enough.
the Bungie name attached to it too, it
Well,
just
also, it's not coming to PC
At all?
at all.
so they
That's
say.
surprising.
They said that they have no plans for it. They wouldn't see why later on it coming out on PC, but yeah, it's surprising.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Only on console.
now that it's not an Xbox exclusive and Bungie isn't an Xbox developer, I think that's even more surprising than normal.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. It's
Sweet.
it's
So,
good.
all right. So that's Destiny. Any other games that you played this week?
Um, no, nothing remarkable.
All right.
Fired up some more Castlevania because
Sweet.
I hate myself. I figured I was playing Dark Souls. Why not play another game I can't beat?
Right. Yeah. There you go. Well, Castlevania is it's too hard.
It's Nintendo Dark Souls.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too hard. All right, Blandy. What have you played this week?
All right, so played Destiny, of course. Thought it was marvelous, wonderful, terrific. I also played Knack, finally, launch title PS4. It is terrible. It's one of the worst launch games I've ever played.
That's a bummer too. It looked very charming, like when they
Yeah,
were, it looked like kind of Ratchet and Clank or like those Pixar-esque, hey, this is for kids, but it's a fun platformer, so if you're a grown-up, you would enjoy it too.
it would have been a great game if it was, a little indie title, maybe 2 hours long, something like that. People would be all over this shit. Instead, it's more than 10 hours long.
That's
Of
well, I mean, what are the Ratchet and Clank games? Those games are
it,
8, 10 hours.
yeah, but
Yeah. Yeah.
there's
Those games are
first,
good.
like the
Yeah.
story is just trailing you along that you'll play more game just to get to the cutscene. And
Hold on,
I'm
are you
like,
talking about Final Fantasy now? What are we talking about?
just to get to the next cutscene, and then you get to the next cutscene, and these vanilla cookie cutter characters just do not convey a well done story. It's I don't know how to explain it other than I hate this thing.
All right. Well, what did the game review like?
The
Did it
game
review?
is monotonous. It's
Yeah.
it's repetitive to a ridiculous degree. I don't know how people can find joy out of doing this.
Is it
Right.
graphically impressive? Is it something
Yes, it's graphically very impressive. It
because I
looks
feel like that they
very-
showed it a lot in the tech demos. Like, this is the power of the PS4. Look at all these particles. Like, he's made of particles.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
But that's
basically
nowhere
you
near
punch-
enough to keep you
You
interested.
punch and you dodge, and then all the enemies seem to get these cheap hits in, and then you're dead.
Oh, I think we're getting to the root of it here.
And I had to turn the game on easy. It's incredibly fucking difficult.
That's frustrating for something that's like that's another thing. Like the Ratchet and Clank games is they were never particularly difficult unless you cranked up, the settings.
I was on.
But they were just enjoyable to play through. That you
This is not.
rarely hit a
enjoyable.
wall.
There's no joy to be had.
All right. I think we get the point.
Don't play it.
Okay. I probably will not, actually. I have no desire to. Anything else that you played this week?
I don't know. Everything got over eclipsed because of Knack now. My hatred
It's just
for all
seething.
things is just
You
consumed
didn't buy it, did
by
you?
Knack.
Did you rent it?
I got it off of the Sony site for $10, so I didn't get gypped. But I
Okay.
think about all the people that paid
Paid
$60 for this garbage. It's down to $40, like retail, $40 is way too much for this thing. I don't even want to pay $10 for this thing. That's how
Yeah,
much hatred I
I
have.
mean, I feel like that's something that's going to end up on PS Plus, and I'll probably play through it and then just
You
a couple
won't.
hours.
I
No,
guarantee you will not play through the entire thing. It is way too fucking long.
Right.
Every chapter has like 4 or 5 little bits to it, and like just defeating a chapter takes about 40 minutes.
yeah, that doesn't sound like my cup of tea.
That's 40 minutes in between story. It's terrible.
What about you, Neil? Did you play anything absolutely horrible?
Yeah, no, it wasn't a bad game. I played Kingdoms of Amalur,
Okay.
and it
How'd
gave
you-
me hardcore motion sickness.
Is it first person? Is it third
It's
person?
It's
person.
third person.
It's basically Fable.
The camera movement gives me fucking
Oh,
wicked
it's not like
harsh.
mouse controls or thumbstick manual camera controls.
It's kind of thumbstick. Yeah, it is thumbstick controls. It just doesn't matter. The camera moves way too fast. I crank it
Just
down. It's still
swoopy.
yeah. It's very swoopy. It's very it's almost too smooth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it got me good. I played about 20 minutes of the game and I was like, nope, can't do
So
this
you weren't
anymore.
even able to enjoy any of the game. Like it was just a barrier.
Well, I must have forgot. I played it before, and I had only played 40 minutes, and I was like, why the heck didn't I play why did I play only 40 minutes of this game? That doesn't make any sense.
Oh,
Then I booted it
no.
up, and I went back in, and I was like, I freaking remember why right now.
I've made a
Um,
huge mistake.
Yeah. Yep. So, and the game overall, I mean, I know that Joel said that he liked it.
It always looked interesting.
It's
You
a
know?
pale excuse for Fable. It's not my thing.
Well, I feel like that's a common complaint now. Like, there's so many games of the same genre that unless it is outstanding, it's like, yeah, I almost rather just play X game again. You know, there's
Right. I mean, it is a good try. Like they tried they tried hard and they did a
They
okay
really
job.
tried.
Well, they're not around anymore, so I really don't have to stroke them off for any reason.
Oh, really? The studio go under.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. It was like pretty decent news because everybody was really pumped about Kingdoms when it came out. They said it was something new and original, and I after playing it, I'm like, this is friggin' Fable.
None of those things.
Yeah. But I don't hate it. I don't hate the game in the slightest. I think that I would enjoy the game long term. I just can't play it for long enough to enjoy it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is a reason not to play a game if
Right.
it makes you physically ill.
So that's it about Kingdoms of Amalur. We also, 4 of us got together and played a little Monaco.
Yeah, what did you think of Monaco? I had played it for, pretty much to where we played up to
Right.
the other night, but what did you think?
I feel like it's charming. It would be a good game to play with. It's a good game to play with 4 people. You know, it's a good 4-player indie game. It got boring, and when games like that get boring, you fail to do well at them because you just bum rush through the level. And it's a sneaky kind of heist game, and you can't.
That game is
really-
at its best when you're all kind of working together and kind
Right.
of taking your time and calling out locations and stuff like that. But I totally agree with you.
So we started getting bored. I think me first, and just started shitting the bed. Like, yeah, we did.
It's almost like there's not enough variety. Like they keep introducing characters. Now, mind you, we didn't get through the first story chunk. The first chapter. We played 8 or 9 levels.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what they could do in that game to make it more unique or more
Put in a poo monster.
to add variety. Like the characters only add so much, and when you're kind of bored with objectives and
They need some kind of level system. You're collecting this money for no reason. Like, collect the money for a reason.
to unlock skills or something like
yeah,
that.
something. Unlock something. There's just no incentive to continue playing the game.
A high score, they do a good
guess.
job of integrating the hey, here's all your friends that have been playing this game, and here's what they did. Maybe you should go back and not suck at it this time. But that only goes so far, and that's only if you're a competitive person, you know?
And with the game being out as long as it is now, like I think high scores are great if you don't think long term.
Yeah. But when those things are, today's leaderboards are completely empty, it's like, all
Right.
right,
Yeah, it's like, well, we did awesome, guys. Got the
we're
leaderboard.
number one of one
One.
people.
Yeah. But overall, I think it's a well done indie game. I think that they definitely were onto something. Um, I believe that the idea of the game is better than the actual game. Um,
I don't know if there's couch co-op, but I see that game being at its best if you're sitting in a room, playing for maybe, a half hour to an hour with, friends on the same couch.
hmm
The online is fine, but I don't know, there's something about those kind of games where you're all kind of on the screen and all kind of seeing the map, I think would really be advantageous to.
Look, yeah, seeing the same thing. I agree.
Yeah.
I
But
agree.
again, you can't play the game for more than an hour because it's like we did this 9 times before.
Right. So that was my thoughts on Monaco. I Steam sales coming up supposedly on the
I've
19th.
already gotten uh, uh, train cards.
Oh yeah.
There's new train cards, people.
How have you already gotten them?
Because I don't need to tell. Shut up.
No,
God.
how have you already gotten them? Inform our
Um.
listeners.
Well, me and Neil have an ongoing race.
Your
Uh,
Steam rank or
for
whatever it's called.
Steam rank, and I decided to, get some cards and, close the gap between us because he's a little dickhole, and every time that I decide to get over him, he decides that it's in his best interest to beat me
Yeah,
because it infuriates me.
it does. Yeah. Well,
The modern high score.
So
as
I
it
decided, I had a couple of new cards from some of the new the new games that like Battle Block Theater and stuff like that. So,
Mhm.
I turned in some stuff and got two of these mysterious cards, and like they're on the Steam marketplace right now. You can buy them. You can't turn them in yet because they're mysterious. So they haven't turned into whatever the Steam sale's going to be. But as we saw with the last Steam sale, they did this, and then you turn them in and you get a chance of getting the special Christmas items during the last sale. So that's usually a telltale sign that in the next week or two, there's going to be a Steam sale.
Well, they're saying this
they're
weekend.
saying, yeah, they're saying it's going to
So
happen
saith the
Thursday.
internet.
Yeah.
What, that it's this week?
Yeah,
This weekend.
apparently it was leaked that Thursday is when it should.
I
Woo!
feel like whenever they update the libraries, like they'll do a patch and they'll be like, oh, here's a space for this game bundle that launches on the 19th. It's like, well,
I see.
obviously that's a fucking Steam sale. Like,
Right. So I mean, that's everybody's excited. Well,
yeah.
I'm excited.
I love it.
I
I,
have.
see,
gonna
I
buy
feel like
Goat
I'm at the
Simulator.
point though. There's maybe a few games that I would jump on, but other than that, like I still just have such a ridiculous backlog. I don't know if there's anything that I'm chomping on the bit to pick up.
That
But
is.
I say that, and I always end up picking up one or two things. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, I buy too much shit during this
Buy
Steam
too
sale.
much.
I do.
Yeah, but you buy too much shit, and you're spending maybe the price of an actual video game. A retail video
That
game.
is true. During each Steam sale, I'm sure I don't spend over $50, and
Yeah.
I get about 50 games. So yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
So that's something to watch out for in the next couple days. Ryan, I still seem to be at level 36 while you're at 33, though.
Yeah, but I was at 32 before, motherfucker.
All right.
It's climbing the ladder.
He is
Hey,
climbing
I
the ladder.
didn't. I'm doing it slowly but surely. I didn't even want to tell you about it because then you're going to be an asshole and then be at level 40 by week's end just to be an asshole.
Oh, before the end of the Steam sale, I'll be at level 40. Anyway, this isn't entertaining to anyone other than
No.
us.
You motherfucker.
Okay. What were we going to talk about?
We go to the news.
There was a reason I brought up the Steam sale. I don't remember what it was. So yeah, we're gonna go to the news. Ba-ba-da-ba, the news. So in the news, who has a news story? How about that?
Well,
I got a
go ahead. Go ahead.
there's a couple things. I'll leave the most recent news to Ryan because he probably cares the most about it.
I love it.
Um, GameStop has announced what appears to be a bundle. It looks like an unofficial bundle for kind of the new Smash Brothers. They're kind of throwing
Yes.
together.
Yes, I also pre-ordered that.
Okay, they're throwing together the USB adapter for the GameCube controllers, a special edition, third-party GameCube controller that's being released in the game for $99.
Oh wow.
It's not a bad deal. I don't know
Well,
how good of a savings that is because the USB adapter is $20. The game presumably is $60. So, I
you get a
assume you're
GameCube
maybe.
controller for 10.
Yeah, but how much are you going to charge for a GameCube controller? $20?
Well, the thing is, it's not a third-party controller.
It is. Yeah, it's not being made by Nintendo. It's being made by Pelican?
Yeah, it's like it has the Smash Brothers emblem on it.
Yes, it has a logo, but it is not
Yeah.
manufactured by the same company that has been manufacturing GameCube controllers for years. It is a different manufacturer. It is the same design and stuff, but it is a different manufacturer.
Well, whatever. That doesn't bug me.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's been a little bit of a kerfuffle over Watch Dogs for the PC.
Oh yes, yes.
some-
Let's talk about that.
Some people found some graphical assets, some shaders, some lighting engines,
I did hear
and
about this.
managed to get the game looking surprisingly similar to the original E3 demo, which looked
Yeah.
1,000 times
yeah.
better. And right now, there's kind of this back and forth between the internet and Ubisoft's PR department. Everyone's kind of crying foul, saying that they intentionally crippled the PC version to move console units or whatever
Oh,
claims
they
they're
definitely
making.
did.
It's impossible to say because none of us fucking work for Ubisoft. But it just kind of goes to show that, these things are constantly in development. If, they had to push this game forward and it was glitchy or it wasn't the way they wanted it to look, a million things could have happened. But, when you release a PC version of a game, the first thing people do is tear apart every little asset and file in, every single folder. And this shit's
Or
going to come
pirate
out.
it because it's a Ubisoft game.
So it's going to be interesting to see how Ubisoft reacts to this. People are already starting to put together their own patches, their own mods to kind of re-enable this stuff, try to clean up some of the code because it's still glitchy. Like there's some flickering and some things aren't loading properly, and it's pretty obvious that these things weren't ever finished. They were just included because that was part of whatever build they decided to throw in the release. So whether Ubisoft sees this as an opportunity to kind of come clean and say, okay, maybe we can patch this in the future to make these assets better, or say, hey, our bad modding community, you get free reign to try to get this stuff working, and we'll provide whatever support they can. Or they're just going to say, fuck you guys, we don't know what you're talking about, those things don't exist, la 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 la, and stick their fingers in their ears. Will be
I
interesting
think that's
to
what's
see
gonna happen.
over the next coming
I
weeks.
also think that's what's gonna happen. It's complete and total bullshit. Like, let's be honest about
Yeah.
it. Like this is the kind of shit that
I-
makes
I-
me hate these big companies.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's unfair. Without knowing what actually happened, it has been proven that these graphical upgrades or whatever you want to, like these extra graphical tweaks, were not finished.
Sure,
the
they
people
weren't
who are
finished,
loading it.
but then go the route of GTA 5 and
Yeah,
don't come
and-
out with the fucking game on the PC until it's finished.
Agreed.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
companies have budgets. Companies, have deadlines. I'm not trying to defend them. I'm just saying that they did this intentionally, and
You're trying to defend them?
They
I
did
think
it
it's
you think that they just tripped, fell, and released the game?
No, I think they had a deadline, and I think, they were releasing this stuff, and, their stockholders or their bosses said, this game needs to come out now. Don't fucking work on this anymore. Don't worry about your, rain engine or lighting engine. Get this fucking game done. So the programmers got the game done and had to drop all those extra flourishes that they couldn't get working well enough to pass quality control.
All right.
I don't think it's malicious. I think, while I totally agree, the PC version, they should have just been like, hey, we know, given enough time, we can say, like, hey, we're working on patches. Even if they had to hit the release day, be like, hey, these assets are in here. We're not able to use them yet, but we're hoping to release, an HD upgrade at a later date. I think that is the appropriate way to go about it. Again, I don't think they're handling this super well. Currently, the PR is saying, I don't know what you're talking about. But calling it malicious, I think, is a little short-sighted. I think
I feel like there is a small possibility that what you're saying is correct. I feel like it's.
I think he's getting paid off by big Ubisoft.
Yeah,
Yep,
maybe
yep.
he
I
is.
am on
That's what
Ubisoft's
I'm
payroll.
That
Yeah.
sweet Ubisoft money.
Ubisoft money,
You
and you're
can't
trying
see
to
it, but I am
convince me
sitting
that
on a-
that horrible game is not horrible.
I haven't even played the game. I've seen the videos of the upgraded graphics and all that, and I think it looks
This is
pretty
not
great.
an excuse.
But it is what it is. I, of course, being for a long time a PC gamer, think that it's totally unreasonable if it is the case that they intentionally crippled this so it looked the same, that they couldn't get it running on the consoles. But that seems like a weird thing to do. But
All right. Anything else in the news?
I think Ryan has a story.
No one
Oh,
cares about
late
Ryan's
to the
stuff.
I got a
podcast.
story for you. So, they put up the Team Fortress. They put up this countdown. Nobody knew what it was. Everybody was going like, what could it be? What could it be? They put it up yesterday, and yeah, the internet was flummoxed. They didn't know what this was. What's going
Internet
on?
was
What
what?
happened? And then
Flummoxed.
at 8 p.m. Eastern
word.
Standard Time, they
When
put
we were
up,
supposed to be recording this podcast.
Right.
yes, yeah. I had to see. So they put up a new movie, which they hadn't done in quite some time. I think the last one was the Man vs. Machine update.
Yeah, they're all right. They're it's no different than the bullshit people put up on YouTube.
Well, the thing is, it's day one.
Yeah.
They're gonna have multiple days of putting new stuff out.
Yeah.
They did put
Possibly
out
two.
new dances and stuff.
At least two, presumably.
At least 2 days.
At least 2 days of stuff.
All right.
I wonder
So,
what it be.
So what is the update?
Yeah, what's the update?
Love is a Battlefield. Love and
Uh-huh. And what is involved in said update? Is it just a video?
Well, there's the video, and then there's different taunts that are out today, I guess. There's conga, there's square dance, there's a skull cracker, a flip, rock paper scissors, and there's achievements on those.
So it's MMORPG style / dance
Right.
commands.
Yes.
So let's
But
get down to
they
brass
had
tacks.
taunts before. Everybody loves the Meet the Medic one. Oh, the doves. And
You love it. All right.
I love it.
Let's get to the most important question that everyone wants to know. Who gives a shit?
I do.
Okay.
If you're super into that game, I totally see the appeal of, hey, we're adding these cool new features. Obviously they're building up to something a little bit larger. Their
Yeah.
day one is like, oh, we introduced these cheeky dances. It's always been a little weird. I'm hoping this is a new map reveal or something like that, maybe a new mode.
Yeah, I'm hoping a new mode or even, hey, new class. They showed off, a girl
Yeah, a female
in
interest.
the video.
That would be
which
interesting if they...
She was in the comics. However, actually animating this broad, interesting. Very interesting.
I think it would be interesting if they added a female character. I think
Yeah.
that's
Agreed.
only an improvement to what is primarily a solely a male character dominated game.
Yeah,
You don't know
it
what
is.
the pyro is.
He's a gay male.
Oh,
Okay, apparently we do.
you know what the pyro is. All right. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
It's very.
It's going to be interesting. It gives you a reason to check Valve's page. You know, they're probably going to lead up to a big reveal, and the big reveal is probably going to be the Steam sale, because that's
How
in
long
a
is
few
this?
days.
How long has this game been out?
4 years.
Team Fortress 2? Yeah, probably.
4 years. All right. All right. Well, I mean, it's definitely one of the more enjoyable free-to-play games that there are out there. So I can't really gripe about it.
Oh, well, of course.
Um,
You
all right.
want to gripe about it?
Well, is that all that you have for news?
Yeah, it's kind of slow. We're coming out of the heels of E3. You know, pretty much everything. Everyone kind of shot their news
Exactly.
load in
That's
3
the
days.
kicker.
Right. Did anyone?
Um,
We missed out on reporting a day of E3. Did you guys find anything interesting from the
It
final
wasn't a
day?
lot of reveals. There was a lot of gameplay that came out, a lot of hands-on. You know, people were playing a lot of what is it, Sunset Overdrive, and you know, just starting to get impressions of how some of these games are actually playing, at least the ones that were available. Um, you know, and it's a lot of what you expect. Some stuff is kind of tight-lipped. I know a lot of people were super excited to see No Man's Sky, and there were kind of some closed doors, hands-on. I think Jonathan Blow was doing the same thing with The Witness. So those are 2 games that kind of piqued my interest, but nothing really has come out on them yet. I'm hoping No Man's Sky information starts releasing because I can't contain myself for that game. But yeah, it's you know the last couple of days of E3 are always just kind of, hey, you know, here's all of our press conferences on day 1, and now you're going to have the opportunity to play, you know, what we brought.
Exactly.
Right.
Or watch someone play it. I think the biggest takeaway from, you know, the gameplay days is that Evolve, which is, I think, the same team that did Left 4 Dead 2,
Right.
Yes.
which is kind of a 4-player co-op versus a character-controlled monster.
5-player,
um,
baby.
Right.
That seems to be everyone's favorite game that they played, as far as, you know, seeming the most complete and kind of surprising isn't a bad word, but you know, like I had said, you know, playing Destiny, like once I got my hands on it, the game just made a lot more sense and just kind of clicked. I
Right.
feel like there's been a lot of good press coming out on Evolve, and just made me a little bit more excited for that game as it gets closer to release.
The Left 4 Dead games were like that for me. I honestly, the first time I played them was with you guys, and before that, I had zero interest in the games.
It's a very difficult game to explain. It's like, yeah, you run around and kill zombies, but it's that feeling and, you know, how it's kind of random encounters. And I think they're trying to do that with like dynamic battlefields, kind of the same. Hey, you know, you're going to be playing the same set of rules, but everything's going to unfold differently because this monster can change or this monster is a person, you know.
Right. And you actually controlling the boss battle as playing the monster, I think that's very cool. I think
Yeah,
that's an idea
absolutely.
that I like.
And there's other monsters like in the game, like it's not just all versus one, like in order to get to the monster or whatever, there's smaller monsters and stuff. So there is some AI, but you know, that's more of just a distraction or to buy the monster some time if it needs to get away or something like that.
Right. Cool. All right. Well, coming off of E3, I know we're going to have a lot of disappointing games, things that we're excited about that are going to actually be shit when they come out. And I'd like to hear what your biggest disappointments were with video games. So let's start with you, Blando.
Well, wait a minute. What do you mean? At E3?
No, just in life. One
In
game
life.
that you were excited about, and then it came out, and then you bought it, and you were just epically disappointed with it.
You bought the hype.
Right.
I'll do 2. Well, first is going to be fucking Knack.
Okay.
And then second off, the Leisure Suit Larry box office bust.
Really?
Was that the first Leisure Suit Larry that like kind of made the comeback where they're like, hey, we're bringing Leisure Suit Larry back? Like,
No.
No, I think that was Magna Cum
Okay.
Laude.
That was Magna Cum Laude,
Which
and
was
Magna
good,
Cum Laude was very good. That
was it
That was
really?
a fantastic Leisure Suit Larry game for the modern age. You got mini games. You got him trying to do the women. It was great. All right.
Wasn't aware there was
Then
good Leisure Suit
you've
Larry.
got Leisure Suit Larry box office bust, and it's the Leisure Suit Larry game after Magnum Cum Laude. I was looking forward to it. You had George Senior, Jeffrey Tambor in the video game. I'm like, fantastic. Now we've got actual voice acting where it's going to be great, and I'm going to do some ladies. And then you get it, and it was terrible. Remember, Neil?
Yeah. No, it was really bad. It was just a very, very bad game.
It was like a really bad action adventure game. There was no tits to be had. There was no getting ladies drunk or you getting drunk and peeing on something or some other, rapscallion like stuff.
Right.
I'm not explaining that great, but
Not really.
anyways, the point is, it was not Leisure Suit Larry. It was terrible, and yeah, that was a big disappointment, and it did not trade in for a good amount of money.
All right. Well, yeah, I would say that one is definitely a disappointment. Hayes, what would yours be? What would you come down to?
I would say the first game that I can remember specifically where other than the inevitable, plethora of NES games where all you had to go on was the back of the box and like, oh, Spider-Man looks so cool, he climbs up walls, and then the game is just shit. Silver Surfer comes to mind, renting it from Blockbuster, being all excited because I was a comic book nerd as a kid. But I would say the one where it was like my money, I, followed everything kind of coming up to the game. This is kind of at the birth of the internet, so I wasn't watching a lot of gameplay, but like reading it in magazines and stuff like that. And I had recently played Max Payne when they announced Enter the Matrix.
No fucking shit. You're taking my answer.
I mean, I think a lot of people felt that pain, but it was after Max Payne came out, it was the first time you're like, yeah, you could totally make a cool Matrix game. And I'm sure the person who conceived of Entered the Matrix had a very similar idea, but the execution was not that.
No.
That game was clunky. That game was awful. It was ugly. The level design was poor. I remember running into areas and they were just dead ends. Like, it was just shit from top to bottom. And like I said, it was kind of the first game that, I spent my money on. I went on launch day and like, yeah, I want to get this game, and I got it home. I put it in my...
waited in lines, like
Yeah.
epic lines.
Legitimate lines.
I don't remember mine being epic, but I remember there were a handful of people out there, waiting to get this game.
Yeah, well, we had one EB in our mall, and
Yeah.
it was packed with people wanting to go.
And I think everyone got home, put that game in, watched the opening scene, got about 15 minutes into it, and all collectively went, shit.
And the graphics were terrible too. Like,
this was on the Xbox.
For the time, I don't know.
But it wasn't great. Everything was muddy.
Right.
The thing I remember the most was the levels looked terrible. Like, they looked brown and everything. Like, it was hard to distinguish things. Like, it was just trash. And that was the first time where, I can vividly remember
just
sitting in front of my game console thinking, like, I just wasted my $50 goddamn dollars.
They
And,
just duped me.
Yeah. And now I'm going to have to play this game for the next couple of months because,
Did you?
I'm a fucking kid. I think I don't know if I ever beat it, but I know I like powered through because I just like, look, I paid the money, like I gotta, maybe it gets better, maybe
Yeah.
maybe they saved the best for the end. It didn't get better.
I mean, I took it to Game Traders Club and traded it almost immediately. Yeah. It
just take the $20 loss or whatever it was before they caught on.
I did take the hit, and I mean, whatever. I was glad I did because that game was terrible.
Yeah,
well,
the game was trash.
Then I guess I'll go to my number 2. Do you guys remember Lair?
Yeah.
It sounds familiar.
It's
Yeah,
like
Lair for PS3.
for PS3, right? It
And it was
was
like, hi, it's Dragon
you get
time
to
and
ride fucking dragons, all right?
Okay.
6-axis.
Yeah.
Panzer Dragoon style.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what got me because I loved Panzer Dragoon for
It's a
both
great fucking
both of
game.
them. I loved both Panzer Dragoons. Well, I guess one of them's not. I don't know. Both. I like the one for the Sega Saturn that looks terribly aged, but still is a damn solid game, and I like the one for the Xbox. So I was excited about this. I thought this is a new Panzer Dragoon. It's on PS3. The graphics are going to be awesome. Picked it up, played it. Actually, I worked at a rental place at the time, so I rented it, which I mean makes my butt hurt a little less because I didn't actually spend money on it.
Sure, but I mean, I think your
Still, I
intent
was
is buying into the
pumped.
hype and being just utterly let down by a
Right.
game when it actually
Well,
released.
and even at launch, it only had the 6-axis controls. Like
Right.
later, they patched it where you could just use, the dual analog sticks, and it played much better. But at that time, nope, 6-axis.
Right,
Go
and it was-
fuck yourself.
It was clunky, buggy, and this game was so fucking confident about itself being awesome. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Up
And
its own butt.
right, so up its own butt. And yeah, it was terrible. So that's my second biggest disappointment, I guess. Dragons, man, riding dragons.
Hey man, and that's the bad thing too is Panzer. I never owned Panzer Dragoon because I didn't have a Saturn, but I remember that was a game that was for quite a while at my local Hollywood Video, and that would be the console I would run to play, pretty consistently.
Right. Yeah, remember back in the day when they just had consoles sitting out at rental places? So good.
Yeah, motherfucker, I brought my Nintendo 64 memory card and printed out Pokemon stickers from Pokemon Snap. That was the
Yeah!
shit.
Nice.
Blockbuster
Pokemon
Video,
Snap.
man.
Yeah.
Such a
Blockbuster
great
Video.
fucking game. I recently
I
picked that up again.
I have
God
had
damn,
the
is it
inkling
good.
to play that again.
Oh, it's so good.
I know.
So good. That is a game, you sit on your couch, you get good and drunk, and you play some Pokemon Snap, and it is a great fucking time.
I've never played. Pokemon.
Oh, alright. Well, we all need to get together, get good and wasted, and play some fucking Pokemon Snap.
All
'cause
right, I'm
it's
definitely.
a blast.
I'm always down. All right, well, I think that's going to bring us to a close unless anybody has any current events, news, or questions.
Well, you know what? We could talk about one more thing. The Guinness Book World Record holder for the biggest video game collection just sold his video game collection. He put it on eBay. It sold for $750,000.
That's respectable.
Yeah, it's like any collection. It's worth what someone will pay.
Right.
I don't think. I think video game collecting is getting big, but I don't ever think I would never
Do you
tell
think
someone
they just bought it for like, hey, now I'm in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yes.
that someone had $750,000.
The answer
They didn't know what to do with. It's
Well, and the only reason you would buy something like that and have a brain is if you could piece it out and make more money. And I don't see you piecing that collection out and making more than
but
$750,000.
now you're doing the time equation. The amount of time it would take to price, list, and ship a video game collection of that size. Like, what the fuck are you doing with your life?
Right,
Like,
but I would imagine the people that would buy it would be like resellers of retro video games already. I don't think that anyone's just going to want to get into the business by buying this dude's collection.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but it's interesting. I have my nice little collection, and it keeps me pretty busy. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, that's new Guinness record holder apparently in the mix. Could it be one of us? I don't know. Maybe. You'll never know. I am broke now though because that 750 grand set me back. Anyway, we are sailing off with our awesome
Toot toot!
So
I don't think ships toot toot.
steamboats would.
Are they ships, though? I don't consider that a ship.
I mean,
I'm going on a train. Fuck you guys.
all right. So I am Neil Lebo, joined by Ryan Blandy,
Heyo.
and of course
Joel's not.
Ryan Hayes.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Oh, and to let you know, Joel has not been on the last 2 weeks. He is still an awesome member of the Pixelship. He's
He
been
just
very
has
busy.
a tumor.
He's got
It's
no
not a
tumor.
tumor.
He's in good health. All right. Have a good night, everyone.